Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to be showing you a couple techniques I've learned over the years of playing Fortnite of how to get high ground, all these different building techniques that are good for build battles and also regular games. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Okay, here's going to be tip number one. 90s are going to be obviously really important because it's what starts the fight. Okay, this is what my 90s look like. This is the 90s I do. Okay, there's all sorts of different 90s you can choose from, and I'll break them down one by one. Okay, so the first 90 I'm going to show you guys is called the Martoz 90, and this is probably the most basic 90 there is. It was one of the first ever created, and I'm about to show you guys what it looks like. So you've probably seen this before. You just go, it looks pretty simple. Okay, now let me show you that in slow motion. So basically when you do a 1v1 starts, you're placing a ramp, okay, two walls, you know, a stair, and you're just going to place two walls there, two walls there. But it's important to note that you can only do this 3 times because the jump fatigue will kick in, and you won't be able to jump anymore. Let me just show you what happens if you keep on doing 90s. As you can see, I couldn't jump anymore, but yeah, not much to say about those. They're pretty easy to learn, pretty basic. Those are going to be your go-to 90s if you're just starting to learn how to do them. Okay, now let's get into a little bit more complicated types of 90s. So your next type is going to be spider 90s, and let me just show you what these look like. You're just going to go here and here. Alright, so it's actually the same, relatively the same. Okay, so as you can see before, I was placing 2 walls. We're still placing the same amount of walls, but there's not going to be a wall right there. Okay, so instead of placing like that, you're placing like this. Okay, let me just do that again. So it's going here, here. So let's talk about advantages and disadvantages here. So your advantage for this type of 90 is, in general, you're going to be using a little bit less materials over time, because a lot of people like to do Martoz 90s like this, and as you can see, that's using a ton of mats, versus this one, you can just use that many. Okay, that's an advantage of this type of 90. One disadvantage would be you're not covered from this side. Okay, and I would say another thing to note is when you're doing this type of 90, you're going to be able to get this wall here faster. So it might make it like if somebody's coming up on your side right here, and you do a quick 90 like this, it's gonna be less likely that they get this wall. All right, but there's not much to say about that. You know, it's similar to the Martoz 90, but it has a couple advantages and disadvantages. They're a little bit harder, in my opinion. Okay, let's get into the next 90. So these ones are Mongrel 90s, and these are probably the hardest to learn, in my opinion. But they just, in my opinion, they just look fancy. Okay, so rather than going like this, right, you're going instead the opposite direction. So instead of doing this, you're doing this. Okay, so the 90s that I do is I do a mix of both, right? I do one regular and one Mongrel, like that. Okay, so Mongrel 90s are basically just inverted. You're doing it the opposite direction, right? Okay, so I'll break that down slow. So you're going here, and rather than going this way, you're going down like this and jumping. Okay, so you're going here. If you try to ask me, you know, what's better, Mongrel 90s or the Martoz 90s, in my opinion, unless you get incredibly good at Mongrel 90s, the Martoz 90s are going to be better for you. I'm going to say that the Mongrel 90s are faster, but you have to get really good at them in order to see any difference. Okay guys, so we're going to be moving on to the final type of 90, which is going to be the double, I call this the double 90, because essentially this is gonna be your advanced. So if you haven't mastered the other ones yet, make sure you do that first before you try to do this. Okay. So when you 90, you jump once and then you jump again, right? Well, that's not the case with this 90. Here you're gonna go bam, bam. As you can see, I only jumped once. These are the fastest type of 90s because you can actually do this over and over again. Here, I'll show you. You can do this over and over again without any jump fatigue. But you get the idea. I can just do this forever. They're called infinite 90s, okay? You can do them forever because you're not jumping twice. You're jumping one time. Okay? And I'll break that down in slow motion. Okay, so you're doing a regular 90. The first part is completely normal. You can do these with any type of 90, by the way. It doesn't have to be the Martos 90s. You can also do a mongrel style. Okay? And you can also do it spider 90 style, like this. Alright, doesn't matter what style you use. The point is that you're adding on an extra step, which is to not jump for the last part. You're just placing both feet, below your feet. So I'll show you slow motion. So you're going here. First part is regular, but then once you get to about here, you're gonna place the floor, and because of how the character works, it's just gonna push you straight up, and it's also gonna push you straight up when you place the ramp too. So you actually don't have to jump; it just forces you up. So you're doing again regular 90, and then once you get to about here, floor, ramp. Okay, we'll do a fast motion one more time. Okay. Okay. Another part to mention here is you can actually do 2 90s before you do the no jump. So you can go like this, bam, bam, bam. Right? Okay, so those are some basic 90s you can use in your gameplay in build battles just to help you get high ground. Let me know if I missed anything, if you guys think I missed any types of 90s that you guys have heard of. Let me know, maybe I'll post a part 2 of, you know, build battle tips and tricks. This is just gonna be the 90s edition. But yeah, if I helped you out in getting better at 90s, like the video, subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.